Now, here to talk about the film is author and one of my favorite journalists, Martha Raddatz.
Hi, Peter.
Hey, Martha, how's it going?
Good, thanks.
So, I used to work for an ABC affiliate, and you were one of my favorite journalists to watch every day.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thanks. Where were you?
So, I was in Albuquerque at KOAT Action 7 News.
Ah, great. Great.
So, I know you've done a ton of stories. What was it about this one that made you want to write a book?
I think this is one of those stories that just grabbed me and I couldn't let it go. After talking to these soldiers who'd been involved in this intense, deadly battle and having them share all these intimate, personal, painful details with me, I really had to stay connected to them. I had to stay connected to this story. I'd never seen a soldier cry, and I'd never heard the detail they gave. And when they said, if you think it's bad for us, you should go talk to our families, and I met those families, Gold Star families, families of those still serving. I just had a connection to them, and I still do to this day. It's been 13 years later, and they're still a part of my life, and they have been throughout this period. I care about them deeply. I think they know I care about them deeply, and they care about me deeply. They tell me that all the time. I know they're proud of this story. I know it's offered them some healing. So it is really the most important project I've ever worked on.
Yeah, that's one thing you get from the book. There's a lot of trust between you and the families during what is an obviously difficult point in their lives. Are those stories also in the miniseries?
You do, and you get a lot of detail. The media is a little bit under siege lately, and journalists are under suspicion by some. To me, I just want to hear those stories. I want to relate these stories truthfully. I know that just listening to these families, just listening to these soldiers was important and has been important in my career, and starting on the basis that I respect them. I respect what I'm hearing. I want to tell you your story. This isn't about me. I want to tell you your story. And you earn that trust. You do earn that trust. I think from the very first day I interviewed these guys, they clearly trusted me in some way because I just let them talk. And that's where you gain detail. That's where you gain truth, is to listen.
So this is your first book. Congrats on that, by the way. How did it become a miniseries?
It started when Mike Medavoy, who's a very famous, iconic Hollywood producer, heard me speak at the Council on Foreign Relations in New York about the book. And Mike optioned the book and told me he wanted to make it into a film someday. I think originally he thought it would be a feature film. He thought it was too early. This was in 2007 when it was first published, that people weren't ready to hear the story. And over the years, it has just evolved. And Mike and Miko Alan, who's a screenwriter who I've now known for 9 years, just felt it would be better 8 hours. If it could be a miniseries, there's so much happens, and that's how long it takes before it's resolved in Iraq, from the very beginning of this story to the end of that day. That telling it that way and telling it from distinct character points of view, which Miko decided to do, which I think is a really creative and powerful way to do this. So you know each person you're talking about. You have a part of 1 hour about the battalion commander, a part about one of the rescue squads, a part about the guy who was trapped on the roof, and it's such a relatable way to tell that story. It was a brilliant way to do this.
I didn't know that. That seems like a really good way to do it. So I'm out of the news business now, but I have a lot of friends that are still journalists who are a little jealous that I'm talking to you. Do you have any advice for them about being successful in the news industry?
I think you just got to have at it, and you just got to remember where your focus is, that you can't be distracted by all the noise around you, that you're a journalist. You want to get to the truth as much as you possibly can. I also tell people, and the young people at ABC where I work, If they say, oh, they're not doing my story tonight, they should do my story, and they don't like it, and I said, then keep trying. You have to find a way to not only be a journalist, to be factual, but to tell a compelling story. Because in the end, we are storytellers. We want people to listen to what it is we do. We want them to understand what it is we've just seen or reported on. So you have to be factual, accurate, and tell a compelling story.
So last question, and I hope it's a fun one. Like I said, I'm a huge fan, and I know in 2007 your phone went off during a White House briefing to Chamillionaire's Ridin' Dirty. So is Martha Raddatz into hip hop?
That Martha Raddatz's son was who put that on my phone. It's really, he's so proud of that to this day. I can't even believe it. We had a very funny moment in the 2012 vice presidential debate, because before we went on the air, but I guess it was on C-SPAN, I was telling the audience to turn off their cell phones because of my own experience with Chamillionaire's Ridin' Dirty. And apparently Chamillionaire was watching that little preview and said something to the effect, tweeting, Martha Raddatz just made my night. Keep it gangsta, Martha. My son loved that too.
That's awesome. That's really funny. So thanks for being on the show, and thanks for telling these veteran stories. I have a couple of veterans in my family, so I'm really glad this is getting out there.
And everyone should watch, because it lets you know what the cost of war for the 1% who serve is.
Yeah, it really does. Thanks again.
Thanks.
If you want to watch The Long Road Home, you can find it on National Geographic. And let me know what you think of the miniseries on Facebook at Director's Cut TV.